Hi, my name's Alika. I go to Woodside Priory, and this is my third milestone, which was mainly sewing and soldering, but I also have this fun little accelerometer, which I'm going to show really quick because it's kind of sensitive. Basically, this is to detect a bad squat. I used pitch, yaw, and roll, which I'll explain in a little bit. Um, and it just detects once you're squatting, and then that's like improper form because of how you're bending. So it beeps like that. Um, and the long beep just symbolizes you're doing a bad squat. The shorter beep is just saying get up, like you've reached your threshold of 90 degrees. Um, so the main part of this was actually the sewing and soldering. The soldering was kind of painful, mainly after I sewed, because then if any of the joints came out, I had to do like surface mounts. And in the end, I got pretty fed up. So I actually ended up using like two-part epoxy adhesive over all my solder joints so that they couldn't come up as much. I don't know if you can see here, but everything's like pretty sewn into place, minus this. This came out, but there's also the battery pack. I made the battery pack detachable. It's kind of easier that way. You don't have to. It's like it's the heaviest thing on the sleeve. You can deal with the battery separately because that's the thing that needs to be recharged. Maybe you need to replace it. Any of that, you can just use it. You can open it, and it just velcros on right here. The sewing was pretty straightforward, honestly. I guess I was confused how to sew the speaker, so I ended up using like I again used the two-part epoxy adhesive to connect it to foam, and then sewed the foam like onto the sleeve. And soldering was also pretty straightforward, except for with this PCB board. If you can see it, it's flex PCB and it's pretty bad quality. So all the traces kept coming off, and there's only traces on one side. And it's also really small with a lot of like bulky components. But overall, I would say that there wasn't too much of a hiccup between like this milestone. The last thing I did as part of this milestone was recalibrate the accelerometer to use pitch, yaw, and roll. And that's basically like it describes 3D orientation, and how it does this is there's something called a Madwick filter, and what a Madwick filter does is that it it takes the data from the gyroscope, because this is an accelerometer and gyroscope, and using that it kind of creates like a 3D orientation, and it guesses where gravity is, and then it looks at the accelerometer's data, and based on that it's like, oh, here is where gravity is, and using that like in something called a things like a gradual correction gradient, it like slowly corrects towards that, so that helps prevent the gyroscope drift, which can often happen. And then roll, pitch, and yaw are what we call Euler angles. So it uses the Madwick filter library itself can convert the like the quatrian, which is like a 3D not well, like it describes 3D orientation, and it can convert that into the Euler angles that we're using. I ended up only really using pitch because that's what's the threshold. I did the data analysis and saw like, oh, okay, pitch is doing this, and it's like pretty consistent with good or bad squats, so that I can actually like distinguish it well, you know. Um, so that was relatively more technical than all the sewing and soldering. And yeah, I think that moving on from this, I hope to kind of use the things I learned, not necessarily like the actual like, oh my god, how do you make an audio amp, but more the like conceptual things like, oh, how do you troubleshoot something? How do you like read through good documentation, find good documentation? What do you do if you can't find that documentation? Like on how to approach future engineering problems, and then hopefully do some projects by myself.